Hello, everyone. Welcome to the SBA COVID-19 Loans and Resources and Grants. This is designed to really give you very simple guidance on what to be thinking about if you're looking at going after these funds. I want to just step back and tell you a little bit about my credentials, because right now there's a lot of noise and people are saying all these things, and I want to be really clear why I feel comfortable talking about these resources. First of all, I am known as a small business superhero. I wear a cape because I have been for 20 years advocating for small businesses. I have a master's in business, so I'm happy to show you my credentials. Here we go, okay? Here's my credentials. I completed my master's in business through Troy State University on Davis-Monthan Air Force Base for anyone who is currently serving our country. I also worked on behalf of the Small Business Administration on and off for close to 15 years. In Arizona, I was the director for the Women's Business Center. And in Oregon, I was the director for the Small Business Development Centers. And those are 2 out of 3 of the organizations that support SBA and their initiative to support small businesses. On top of that, I have a book that was written through McGraw-Hill called Target Funding that I literally teach people how to get grants and resources. So this is me establishing why I'm about to talk to you about COVID-19, SBA, rules related to the loans and the grants. I want to simplify it because to me, life doesn't have to be complicated. We're already going through a lot. So I'm going to share my PowerPoint slide. There are going to be 3 slides you can look at. This slide is going to strictly cover SBA funding. I'm saying that because as a target funding expert, I also look at alternative funding, which is going to be in another video that you can view. So bear with me right now as I find my PowerPoint, and we are going to start going through this. If you have any questions, of course, as we navigate through this, you will have an opportunity to connect with me offline, and I will give you information on how to connect with me. All right, let me start the slideshow. Okay, so bear with me as I move this so I can have more room. 1 second. All right. From now on, I'm just going to go right into explaining the process. I told you a little bit about me. I've been doing this for 20 years, and I'm also the VP of Conquer for business coaching. So if anybody is out there that is in the home services industry, this is our wheelhouse. We service businesses all over the country around home services. So think janitorial businesses, maid services, window cleaners, pressure washers. So if you're interested to learn more of how we're serving the home service industry, please, please let me know. Okay, here we go. First of all, I wanted to step back before I go into the funding, and I want to explain to you why this matters. Why should the SBA make such a focus on small business? Because all the time we're thinking, right, if we're a 1-person operation or a 5-person operation or a 50-person operation, do we really have that much impact with our government? Yes, yes, and yes. Simply put, 30 million businesses are in the US and 99% are considered a small business. So as far as COVID-19 is concerned and the stimulus package, they had to come out with something significant. Otherwise, if they didn't, it would literally have catapulted our country into a place that I don't know could have been reversible. The second thing I want to make sure we understand is you must diversify your funding. I specialize in targeting funds and grants, which essentially means that instead of going after one opportunity, one source, you want to look at multiple sources. Now, this presentation is going to cover just SBA, but I'm prefacing you this because I'm going to show you in the next slide how powerful diversification of funds could look like. So, SBA, one source. They have multiple programs, but at the end of the day, SBA is one source. So let me explain. This is just an example of how I look at target funding. I literally just pulled a few of the many areas that we focus on to show you for two reasons. One, to make you realize that I love SBA. I worked on behalf of SBA, and there's still one source no matter how we slice it. Two, you need to be paying attention to all the other sources that you can get. So let's go through this really quickly. Everything we've been talking about right now with COVID-19 and all the loans and all the resources literally fall under one circle. So if this is you and you're somewhere in Minnesota, New York City, you're in Oregon, and you're thinking, I need to get funds, I need to get my business back in order, and you're hearing COVID-19, 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 I want you to know something. This is just one circle, okay? Why is this important for you to know? Because in my other videos, I'm going to talk to you about how do you tap into the other circles. If you're a veteran, you may have other funds set aside for you to apply to just because you're a veteran, or if you're disabled, or if you're a minority, or if you're a woman. On top of all the funds coming through COVID-19, you need to understand it's really designed for retaining. They don't want people going out of business, but it's not really designed for new innovation, new technology, new infrastructure. So these are the other pockets, right? You have economic development dollars that are not associated with COVID-19 that you could apply for, industry clusters within your industries that you can apply for, certainly innovation, grants that may be tied to COVID-19 and may not be tied to COVID-19. And then we have crowdfunding and contracts, but even down to religion. You may be thinking to yourself, what would religion have to do with funding? A lot, because you may be part of a certain faith and you may not even realize that as a result of COVID-19 or as a result of the mission of that faith or the nonprofit organizations that support that faith, there may be funding set aside for you to apply for. So how does this all work? What you need to understand moving forward before we get into SBA is a grant is a grant is a grant as long as you understand the keywords. Every single item over here right now is technically in one form or another could be perceived as a grant. And so I want to share this with you because showing you the components of SBA doesn't teach you how to find the money. Showing you how I find the money, having done this for 20 years, is going to prepare you for what is next so that you can get the most opportunity that is available for you. So what you need to know is all variables are gold. The way I look at this is if we were in a Willy Wonka movie, one of my favorite movies, and we were looking for the golden ticket. These represent your golden ticket because funding is always tied to variables. There's funding specific to locations, federal and state and county and city, even down to certain neighborhoods, certainly with industries and your size of the business. And then there's funding if you are a female, or you have a certain ethnicity, or you're a veteran, or you're part of the LGBTQ community. The point you need to know is this: every single funding stream that you ever have applied for somehow is tied to a variable. You understand the variables, you'll understand the funding requirements to see if you can even apply for it. So let's get into the nitty-gritty details because there's so much confusion. What do I apply for? What programs make sense? So I'm going to go into the details. I am going to simplify it so that it's easy to understand. First thing you need to know. Yes, yes, yes. The federal government has the SBA Disaster Loan Program. It's set aside 3.75% for small businesses. The repayment is up to 30 years. You can use it for accounts payable, debts, and payroll, and other bills that specifically resulted from the coronavirus and your business. Okay, so that's the national, federal, SBA that you've been hearing about, the loan. Should I apply for the loan? That's the bottom line. 3.75%. So if you're paying a higher amount somewhere else, that is something for you to think about because the interest rate is fixed at 3.75%. Okay, before I go into the other ones, I need to give a little bit of definition because there's confusion in the market. What is a 7A? What is a 504? What is a microloan? They're all different products. So let's talk about it. The 7A loan is up to $5 million for short-term or long-term working capital. So your uses are, purchasing an existing business, refinancing your debt, right? So if you're struggling right now, what do I do, Kedma? I don't know how to refinance. I have so much interest on all these loans. That's a 7A opportunity. And then the purchase of fixtures or furnitures or maybe paying suppliers. However, there's also the 504 loan. This is different than the 7A. This is $5.5 million for long-term financing. This is real estate purchase, buildings, heavy machinery. So there is a separation between that depending on what your needs are. And then lastly, microloan. We don't hear a lot about microloans as much as we need to. We don't hear a lot about micro businesses as much as we need to. But we have to understand that the definition of a small business, according to the federal government, is 500 employees or less. Now you're listening to this and thinking, this is insane, Kedma. How could you classify a solopreneur, a mommypreneur, thanks Scott Duffy for that one, a daddypreneur, and then communicate that someone who has 499 employees is also a small business? I don't make up the regulations and I don't make up the rules. I'm here to just tell you it is what it is. And so as a micro business, depending on the definition, sometimes I've seen it as 50 employees. Sometimes I've seen it generally 10 employees or less or 5 employees or less. You can get loans up to $50,000 to help you with your small business. So those are the different categories or product lines for the most part that I'm going to cover through this SBA website interview. All right, let's go through Paycheck Protection Program because I'm hearing about this. Do I apply? Do I not apply? What does it look like? Let's go through everything. Number one, yes, if you're a sole proprietor, you can get it. Yes, if you're an independent contractor, you can get it. Yes, this is designed for small businesses, maximum loan, $10 million. Now, let's get into the details because everybody is talking, and nobody's talking about details. Business had to be in operation from February 15th, 2019 through June 30th, 2019, and they're going to look at 250% of the maximum of that payroll during that time. If you were not in business between February 15th of 2019 and June 30th of 2019, then you're not going to have that. They're going to look at, were you in business January 1st through February 29th, and they're going to base that payroll on the maximum of 250%. It can cover compensation, vacation time, from last year that you may have paid for your employees, sick time, any retirement that you had used. But here's what's not covered. If you as the owner were compensated over $100,000, they're not going to cover that. They're not going to look into that. And if you paid employees who worked for you that reside outside the US, they're also not going to have this covered. The loan can be used to pay for payroll, pay for any sick time that you have people out because of the coronavirus, mortgage, rent, utilities, and any interest on debt. Now, please be aware, everybody's running and saying it's a forgivable loan. Here's what a forgivable loan is. It is actually a loan. You have documents that say it's a loan. However, you get a criteria that says if you do A, B, and C, we're going to forgive a portion of the loan, not necessarily the entire loan. So let's read what this says. The maximum interest rate for this is 4% over 10 years. That's the most you can have. The forgiveness, though, is equal to the sum of the 8-week compared from the previous year, okay? So you need to be really clear. This is where you want to do budgets. This is where you want to do projections. This is what we do in Conquer every single day with the hundreds and hundreds of businesses we serve in the home services industry. So just be aware that there's going to be a portion of this covered, but the way I'm reading the language, they're not covering 100%. So I want you to be prepared for that as you go into this if you're going to consider that application. You're going to apply with the lender. It's going to go under that 7A loan, which we talked about previously, and it's going to include, or you're going to indicate that you want the forgivable loan, so that it can count towards your business. All right, moving on. Small business debt relief. Okay, this provides immediate relief to small businesses with non-disaster SBA loans. Let me repeat that. Non-disaster SBA loans. So these are loans 7A, 504, micro loans covering all loan payments, interest for 6 months. Okay? So this is all loan payments and interest for up to 6 months. Here's the cool part. This blew me away because when I first looked at this, I had to look at it like 2 or 3 times, even me as an expert, to try to really understand what were they saying. Because first of all, I thought, well, okay, this is really only going to be eligible for people who have current loans. You have a 7A or you have a 504, you currently have a microloan, then you can apply for the small business debt relief to get your loan payments covered and interest for up to 6 months. However, look at the second sentence. This relief will also be available to new borrowers who take out loans within 6 months of the president signing the bill into law. Guys, this is huge. I can't even tell you how huge this is. This basically is saying that if you want to apply for the small business debt relief, the terms will apply as a new borrower as long as you submit it within 6 months of the president signing the bill. Eligible, 7A loan note made on disaster, the PPP, which we just talked about, 504 or micro loan. You can apply for the PPP, but debt relief from this program won't apply. In other words, you can't have both things where you're applying the same thing twice. So it's really important to know you can apply for both, but that the debt relief you get from here is not going to apply for the other program, the other PPP program, which I just covered. And at the end of the day, you need to be able to show that you can pay back the loan. So this is really, really important to pay attention to, especially if you're looking at getting one of these loans. Moving on. This is the one that everybody's excited about, even me. I don't get too excited about things just because I've been doing this for so long and I just know the system. But when I saw this, I was jumping up and down. I was so excited. I could not believe it. So let's go into this. Okay. Economic injury disaster loans provide emergency advancement for up to $10,000. Within 3 days of applying, you're going to receive it up to. It's not getting 10,000, it's up to 10,000. So you have to indicate what was your loss. To access the advance, you first apply for the EIDL and you request it. I know people have applied before, it wasn't in there. My understanding in reading the rules, you don't have to reapply. They're going to let you, they will have a notice of some sort or communicate and ask the question whether you need to apply for that. So if you're already in the application process, don't stress out. You don't have to do a second application process. The advance, though, does not need to be repaid back under any circumstance. Guys, this is huge. This means that you can apply for it, be denied the loan, and you don't have to repay back the grant. You can use it for payroll, you can use it for sick leave, you can use it for production costs, you can use it for debt or rent or mortgage. So let me give you my case. My case is I actually own a beautiful office building in Portland, Oregon, and my tenants can't pay me. So part of what I'm going to put down is I've had an impact of loss of revenue from that perspective, on top of loss of revenue of potential contracts that were coming in that I can't get because the contracts were canceled. So my inventory, my services, I lost a significant amount of money. Here's the other cool thing. You are eligible for this with or without employees. With or without employees, if you're a sole prop, if you were an independent 1099 contractor, you need to apply. This is available from the 31st of January all through December 31st. They will backdate to people that applied. So some of you have asked me, do I apply now if I don't have any economic disaster right now? This is what's so cool about this particular loan/grant is it's available up to December 31st. So in the event that maybe you didn't impact right now, but you're going to start trickling down significantly and see losses in a month, in 2 months, in 3 months, this allows you to have that spectrum to look at applying from January through December. So again, this is emergency advancements. This is for people who've had an economic injury or impact. People are calling me and texting me and messaging me and saying, should I apply if I am doing so well, if I have made more money than ever because of COVID-19? And believe it or not, some industries are doing that, right? Some industries are really doing exceedingly well. Some businesses are really doing exceedingly well because they're an essential business. The government has designed a very clear line of what is an essential business. If you don't know that already, make sure you're going to your state to look at that. So if you're asking me whether or not you should apply for economic injury disaster loan and you have made more money during this time than ever, I think you know what my answer is going to be, right? We want this money to be used for people who really need it, who really had an emergency, and who are really suffering. And I would just say blessings to you if you are not one of those people. All right, frequently asked questions. Can I get a PPP forgivable loan and an EIDL grant? Yes, you need to be using it for different purposes. 2, I already applied for an EIDL. Do I need to reapply? No, they're going to notify you. 3, what about my credit score? Guys, nobody's thinking about this. So I don't have, again, it's all fluid. I don't have all the information, but my understanding is there was a bill introduced into the Senate that would prevent negative information from reaching your credit reports for at least 4 months. Now, what that tells me is it is going to hit your credit report. It is going to bring your numbers down if your debt to equity is going to be changed, right? So in other words, if you have, a lot of debt that's sitting on your books, and now on top of that, you're going after this loan, which is going to create even more debt, it probably will reduce your credit score. But the government is giving a 4-month kind of lead time for you to get what you need without it impacting your credit score. If you're not sure what that would look like in 4 months, my favorite site to go to is Credit Karma, C-R-E-D-I-T, Credit Karma. You can get on there for free. You can see what your credit score looks like right now. But under the tools, there's a credit score simulator, and you can add in different variances of like, what if I took out a loan for $50,000, how would that affect my score? What if I paid off my credit card? How would that affect my score? So it could give you a little bit of an assumption. All right, last, can I get more money faster? Believe it or not, yes. Within all of this, there is a program called the Express Bridge Loan Pilot Program. Yes, it's a very long word. This allows small businesses currently who have a relationship with an SBA Express lender to access $25,000 with less paperwork. So this is your bridge money. If you need less than $25,000, it's your bridge money. This is used for urgent. Now remember, the EIDL also, you apply the grant, their commitment is within 3 days you should be getting this. However, this is another piece, and what I love about this is this could be your bridge. While you're qualifying for the economic injury disaster loan, you can also be looking at the Express Bridge so you can get your money quicker, especially because of all the forms. You may need time, you may need to get your tax returns, you may need to update your profit and loss. This is something for you to consider. All right, let's talk about next steps. Let's talk about questions. Let's talk about how you're going to do this. Number one, this is my book, Target Funding. I am not promoting it, but I'm telling you, if you do get the book, it's online and audio. I literally go over every single strategy that I've been doing for 20 years. And I didn't come from just the knowledge. I went through bankruptcy, unfortunately, in 2001 due to a relationship. I had a relationship crisis, and I literally reverse engineered how to find money because I was in that situation. So thank you to McGraw-Hill and my wonderful agent, Gary Krebs, for allowing me to manifest this. Two, this is my information. You can reach me on, targetfunding.com, kedmaough.com. You can reach me through Conquer. You can reach me through LinkedIn and Facebook. So there's many, many ways to channel what I'm doing. Three, I have another video that will go over the forms in specific because there's a lot of questions on the forms. I wanted to first explain to you the variances of the programs, and make sure you look at the second video around the forms, and make sure you look at the video on other funds that you're not even thinking about, because that may really, really help your business. Finally, I want you to know this. What I do is fundamentally who I am, the core of who I am. It's my air. It's what I have to do. It is more than a career. I am committed to serving small businesses and have been for 20 years. And I want to tell you, each of you right now, before I close, you've got this. That came from Brandon Vaughn, who I admire to no end, amazing business owner. He is the chief strategist, innovation strategist for Conquer. You've got this. Don't get overwhelmed. If you get stuck, shoot me an email. I'm happy to do a video. Every Friday, Target Funding has a podcast. Come and listen. Join us. It's live. You will hear me talk about it if you have questions, if you want to come on. And lastly, if you know other people that need this information, share, because it's about moving things forward. We are in this together. We're going to conquer it together. All right? Thank you guys, and I hope you got value out of this video. Have a great day.